I would like to welcome you to the 16th International Conference for Philosophy, Psychiatry and Psychology, which has been co-organized with the International Network for Philosophy and Psychiatry, the Royal College of Psychiatrists Philosophy Special Interest Group, the World Psychiatric Association Section for Philosophy and Humanities, and the European Psychiatric Association Section for Philosophy and Psychiatry.
Dear Professor Stoyanov, dear colleagues, it is really an honor for Medical University of Plovdiv to be a co-organizer of this scientific event.
First of all, I stress three very important questions. We have these fundamental questions in philosophy of mind. What is consciousness? How to decide the mind-body problem? How to bridge the epistemological and explanatory gap between the mental and the physical? This is the three basic questions, and I should prepare, and I want to show some 10 years work about this. First of all, I try to find some model, physical model, about what is the consciousness, and to extract some result from them, from this result to second and third question. But in this lecture I speak only for the first situation. Introduction. I will explain some introduction to the background of some images that explain and show the universal dissemination of fractality in the universe. Observing the overall progress of contemporary science, it's easy to see that it has differentiated in two directions. Examined and theorizing of processes outside consciousness and living system, and a vague, confused and blurred understanding of what is information, life, bioinformational processes at cell level, adaptability, proto-consciousness and consciousness in bacteria, plants and animals. What is instinct and emotion, psyche, qualia, intentionality, and altogether self-consciousness in higher animal species and human beings. If on the basis of physics, mathematics, chemistry and a number of other external sciences we have attended a clear methodology to some extent, a reasonable understanding of what substance, planets, stars, galaxies and the entire universe represent in general. With other words, we have achieved a theory of everything. But still in this theory lacks something substantial. This is the theory of everything, but only of everything which is outside life and consciousness. Any contemporary scientist taking a philosophical view upon these problems is bothered by utterly uncomfortable polarization. Science studies the external world and psychology studies the spiritual doctrines and philosophy in all of its area relevant to human beings and life studies the internal world of consciousness. If we overcome the epistemological torture and to rise from the crucifixion of our experience of reality, a universal, holistic point of view is required that has a powerful explanatory potential and vision. How to link together in a comprehensive and consistent scientific picture the two ends of spectrum, what is outside me and what is inside me. In his visionary work, the American scientist Bernard Mandelbrot opened new horizons in mathematics and all sections of physics by discovering the fractal set of geometric forms. The fractal theory created by him has been widely used in the pursuit to attain a new understanding of complex nonlinear and dynamic processes in astrophysics, geophysics, and even the science studying the human body and brain and consciousness. The next slide is especially denoted to the fractal analysis of the body and some elements in the body. Therefore, his concept can be used as a platform for overcoming the epistemological crisis in contemporary science. The purpose of this study is to present both Mandelbrot's ideas concerning the fractal rationalization of the forms and the dynamic processes in reality, and some new philosophical extension, and this is the most important thing in the lecture, of the fractal theory directly relevant to psychology and philosophy of consciousness, including also mathematical equations and quantities, as well as physical equations and principles relevant to the hypothesis of new type of fundamental interaction with fractal characteristics. The main point is approach the widely spread nonlinear dynamic processes in the universe and microcosmos organism consciousness with the latest mathematical and physicalistic descriptive tools. And furthermore, to perform a structural analysis of the forms and processes in the above-mentioned two areas on the basis of fractal perspective. Put in other words, to take the first step on the way to bridge epistemologically the explanatory gap between the mental and the physical, or at least to attempt to reduce this gap as much as possible. Fractal definition and characteristics. Fractality is manifested every time there is a self-similarity manifested into integrated, hierarchically structured whole. Mathematically speaking, fractals refer to equations related to iteration, recursion, and any other form of feedback or cycle causality. This is the most important thing in the idea, that fractality is connected directly with cycle causality. Fractal has the following characteristics. The whole projects and manifests itself in itself. Each part of the whole is similar to the whole, whereas the self-similarity can be exact, approximate, and stochastic. Abstract fractals organized mathematically have a fine pattern structure in rather small scale, and naturally generated fractals have a similar structure and properties in broad but still limited scale. Simple and recursive definition and non-whole dimension, which is the rule, are bigger than the topological dimension. Every fractal has a repeller, the initially raw form of fractal, and attractor, its holistic and hierarchically self-similar manifested form, and this is very interesting. In natural fractals, attractor have energy stable form. The so-called natural fractals exhibit characteristics typical for the complex dynamic systems, self-organization and natural emergence, which occurs because a form of cycle causality generates fractality. This is the most important thing in natural fractals in the universe and all over the world, inside and outside us. Cycle causality generates fractality. For better understanding of fractals and their patterns, we can use the notation. This notation is shown here, and the presented notation should be interpreted as follows. Fractality with a certain pattern and or with a particular mathematical definition or function after a certain number of iteration or cycle causality impulses transform into its attractor. Not only singular fractals, fractals with the single pattern, can be observed in reality, but also multifractals, complex fractals structured with more than one pattern. When analyzing the naturally emergent fractal, one specific new parameter may also be introduced. This is the new parameter in fractal theory that I propose with this idea. Degree of self-similarity. The whole number positive variable in fact indicates how many hierarchical levels there are in particular fractal, or how many cycle causality or recursion is made to be fractal is born. The emergence and development of dynamic fractal passes through 4 stages. And if these are monitored by the degree of self-similarity pattern, the following will be found out. First stage, emergence, the natural switching from a non-fractal into fractal structure. There is already a degree of self-similarity equal to 1. Development, the next stage, fractal growth during which the degree of self-similarity increases to 1, 2, 3 and more. Subsiding, fractal deconstruction during which the degree of self-similarity decreasing. For example, the fractal reach for 10 the degree of self-similarity and slowly decrease from 10, 9, 8 and so on. Liquidation, the fading away of different hierarchical level of the fractal reaches a critical phase which causes the disappearance of the fractal itself. The degree of self-similarity from being equal to 1 becomes 0. Before I go to the next slide, I will explain some of the pictures that I show here. The first triangle is a very famous fractal that is named fractal of Sierpinski. But here is presented the very interesting fractal of Sierpinski. This fractal of Sierpinski is, in reality, in philosophical point of view, the whole philosophy of Hegel. In a very interesting site, internet site, hegel.net, by interactive point of view, they show exactly the whole philosophy of Hegel. That is, this philosophy is really fractal, but not in form, but in the philosophical ideas. And with interactive point of view, you may analyze this fractal. The next picture is shown a very huge dissemination of the fractals in the universe from all over the world that we are around. Physicalistic and philosophical extension of fractal theory. This is the, how to say, the next step of understanding of fractality, because usually the fractals was used only for the analysis of some form or some structure in the body or something in the nature, but the scientists and philosophers do not make the next step, analyzing the fractality not in the form, but in the behavior, in the information or processes or some other not form attitudes and something else.